Hey folks, I wanted to talk to you today about a toy line that we ended up bringing into our collection, really with the intent to restore it and then be able to turn around, flip it to help pay for some of the collection with the items that we're keeping. The toy line that was in with this collection, because it included both Princess of Powers, which we collect, and we actually wanted a lot of those accessory pieces and parts that were in there, and so that is what made it really appealing. But then it also had Golden Girl and the Guardians of the Gemstones. Gemstone or Gemstones? I think just one gemstone. It's confusing because now that I've actually researched the toy line itself, each individual character had a gemstone on their shield, which then could convert into a brooch that you could wear for your toy. But I think they were only protecting one gemstone, not multiples. So there's no S. We'll get into writing later. So last spring, it was May, Memorial Day weekend. So almost a full year ago, we went on a road trip to St. Louis. We ended up at Retro TV Toys in St. Louis, and after talking to Matt, the owner, for a little bit about Princess of Powers and how I've been restoring them, cleaning them up, redoing their hair, putting together their outfits, to try to complete our line and the success I've had with that, he kind of went, hang on, I got something I want you to look at. And he pulled this box out of the basement, or in the back room or somewhere where he'd been storing it. And it had a whole bunch of Princess of Power figures and the horses and like their saddles and wings and Claudine, and there was a lot of good accessory pieces. And that was the part that really interested us, is those accessory pieces are hard to get, and we're trying to track them down to complete our girls from that line. But there was two little hiccups. One is that he also had Golden Girl and the Guardians of the Gemstone toy line in there. And that's one that we don't really collect or even know anything about. Okay, this collection wasn't just what we were interested in. It was also a whole different toy line. And then two, the reason that he didn't have them out on the floor trying to sell them was they had come with some needs of being cleaned. And I'll show pictures of like the before and after today with this video, and you'll see what I mean. But you're gonna miss out on the smell. The smell was extremely unique, and not in a good way. The figures had to have been somewhere that they were moist or in some kind of solution or something. The hair was really stiff and gross, too, but they had a unique smell. And the reason that I can, like not drive it home or try to drive it home on the smell is because I lost my sense of smell years ago, and like a decade before COVID. So not even with that, and I could smell this. So usually if I can smell it, it's pretty bad. So while I feel pretty confident that I can clean most things up and at least improve from their original state, there was a bit of a hiccup with, like, okay, sometimes smells are really hard to get rid of, and maybe that's not going to be something that we can take care of. But we went back and forth. We negotiated on price for the whole thing. We ended up taking it, and I said, I can do this. I'll figure it out. We'll try a couple things if the first options don't work and just general cleaning doesn't happen. But I was pretty lucky. So far, I haven't even got to the Princess of Powers that are going to stay in our collection, but I did try to get the Golden Girl figures that we picked up, all 6 of them, cleaned up and together, and that's what we're going to talk about. So it's an interesting line. It came right out at the same time as like Princesses of Power. It was by Galoob and was there right in 84, 85 time period. It hit shelves at Toys R Us, Golden Girl, Gem, Princess of Powers right there together with all the kind of doll action figure type features. But it wasn't one that I remember. And the funny part of that you know, like even more than just being like something from my time period that I remember other toys that were similar, but I don't remember this particular line, is that I have this childhood box. And this box was an item that we've kept from my childhood. My mom had it for a long time and saved it for me. I've had it since then. But it's this My Little Pony kind of carrying case. So it's bigger than a lot of the traditional other like carrying cases that you see, like from, I know there's Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Motu, Star Wars. They all had, you know, like those carrying cases. And My Little Pony even had some where they had like a divider that the ponies could slide in and they stayed in place. This one's just an open suitcase type design, but you can see over time it's getting kind of warped and it's showing some wear. I probably need to do some work on it. I actually tried wrapping it in saran wrap last year to like hold it together. The saran wrap won't hold. So in that box, I have a whole bunch of my childhood accessories and little pieces that survived from my childhood. And going through it, like I can show you like the toy lines that meant the most to me, and that I remember playing with. And here they got mixed up. Let me show you. So like we played She-Ra. Aaron and I lived down the street from each other. We played He-Man and She-Ra together, and I don't know where my She-Ra has gone, but I have some of her accessories there. I don't remember playing things like Lady Lovely Locks, but we've actually found her in Aaron's sisters or at Aaron's parents' house, so his sisters probably played with her, and I don't know if I played with them also or if I did have a Lady Lovely Locks, but that's what I believe that one's from. I remember and I still have one of my Fashion Fillies, but like the Fashion Fillies, you dressed them up and they were like a big, more realistic pony line. I had my purple Hug-a-Bunch doll, and I would like to reacquire this one. I haven't been able to find her yet. I think I have one of her leg warmers in my box also that I saw. I have to kind of confirm that that's the case. But these are all things from my childhood that I remember playing with for the most part. This is My Little Pony. I have a whole bunch of accessories for My Little Pony in there. And with this, guess what I find? But the crown or the headdress for Golden Girl. So if I remember correctly, also a few years ago when Aaron and I got back together and we pulled out this box and we started going through it again, I started trying to ID some things that I didn't recognize. And I'm pretty sure that I also had Golden Girl's shield and some other, the comb, which the combs like stand out. They're kind of distinctive. This is what the comb looks like, just to give a connection to. This one stands out from a lot of the other types of combs for the girls' toys at that time period. So I think I had Golden Girl. I don't remember her specifically, but I think I had her. Right there. I mean, how else would I have ended up with her head gear and some of her other items? So that just kind of ties in a little bit to the mystery of why do I not remember this toy line? But I wanted to find out about with a little more detail while I had these toys in our collection, while I had the opportunity. They were by Galoob, which, you know, had some other great toy lines like Sweet Secrets that I really enjoyed when I was little. It was very special to me. This toy line for Golden Girl, all their shields, which sadly with this collection that we picked up, we didn't get a single shield, but the shields all had like a stone in the front of the shield. And then it says that you could use them as a brooch. I don't know if there was any type of like actual clip that you could hook them onto your shirt. I know the Sweet Secrets had like plastic clips that would go on like a wristband, or you could wear them around your neck. And so maybe it had some kind of feature that was similar to that. Since I don't have one in my hands right now to look at, it's hard to be able to describe. So some things that would make this toy line a little bit more forgettable is that it only had kind of like one wave. There were a couple different waves of clothing that were released with it, I think after the dolls came out, but there were only 9 girls released and 2 boys. There was a good side and a bad side, the heroines and the villains. against each other in the storyline that came with it. They had 2 horses that were released, one for each side. The Golden Girl leader and the Dragon Queen leader both got a horse, and then later were also released, the horse was released with like a chariot as like a play feature. There were also like a collector carrying case, very similar to my box that I carried my My Little Ponies around in. There were books, there was a lunch box there. And then you also, they had a like a Royal Palace playset for Golden Girl from Argonia, which was the place that they were from, or at least the main place. And then a lot of the different girls came from different islands that were around Argonia. I haven't seen a map either, so this is all from what I've read online, able to research and be able to find. It was an enchanting castle of light and power and exciting Golden Girl adventures is the way that they described this playset. So it folded up and then opened up so that you could store it in the compact form, or you could open it up and have like a larger display to play in, and had different rooms, including a dungeon, and it had a throne, so you could have kind of a throne room. It had training equipment. It had a treasure box, so you could keep your gems in it. Working drawbridge. It did have a torch, so you can see that torch in the very front center, and there was like a battery operated system to that, so it would actually light up, and it was a working torch. Had trap door, so you could have your folks, you know, the bad guys fall through, and I think they fell into the dungeon, which was a little corner of the playset. So a lot of fun features. I know that this is a very hard one to get. We have seen it come up in other videos of folks that toy hunt and collect, and they're few though. There are not many out there to collect. That I mentioned before, just so I can show some of those tents, they called them the dream tents, and there were 4 of them. And they basically were the exact same design. They just had different fabric on each one and different color accents from what I can tell. They came with a throw mat that you could put down inside the tent for the girls to sleep on, and it said a pillow, but it sleeps 2 girls, so maybe there were 2 pillows. So they each got one, or they shared. But they seemed like a fairly simple design, but they're very pretty if you actually come across these. Maybe you haven't known what they were in the past, so now you'll recognize them. For your future knowledge of Golden Girl. And they were marketed as a way for them to be able to explore the wild of Argonia while having the comforts of their tent to be able to stay in. So just some fun things that came out with the toy line. They also had 3 rounds of clothing for both the heroines and the villains, and everybody got something to wear, all 3 sets. So those are kind of cool to check out. Again, I was able to pick these up from other sources, so this is what they would have looked like. It's very similar to what they did with She-Ra and all the fashion outfits that they had too. That's kind of the basis of the big broad idea of what actually came out with the toy line. One of the things that I can show that is different about this toy line from like She-Ra, here is Ruby. She's on the heroine side. She was the one character that was good that we got from this collection, but they have the 5 points articulation with also having knee joints that will bend. So it's not like a whole lot, but you can't do that with She-Ra and her girls. They can't exactly kick. I did a stop motion for Instagram with this character. I'll give more details on her in just a moment. Okay, so let's tell you a little bit about the actual girls that made up the toy line, and the guys that supported them, and what all the characters were. First, you had Golden Girl. So she was the Princess of Argonia and ended up competing against the Dragon Queen in a competition, and defeated the Dragon Queen and won. And that set up them as being arch nemesises and competing against each other, and the Dragon Queen trying to get back into power at Argonia. after her loss. So that's where the story kind of takes off. Golden Girl did have a horse, Olympia. She was white and golden and just radiates, you know, good cleanness from the good side for her character. And like I had mentioned before, the horses originally came out just by themselves, and then later they got a chariot. And I'll say the chariot for Olympia really looks just like a gladiator type chariot. It's interesting, but I definitely find Shadow, the evil horse's chariot much more fun and exciting because it's a little bit unusual. That's the right word I want to use. Unusual. It was a little bit more unusual, so that's fun. So I'll show her in a few minutes when we get to her characters. If you look at the artwork that I found that goes along with the Golden Girl original official artwork, from what I've been able to tell, it actually looks a lot like, guess who? She-Ra. The gold, the white, the pink, the horse with the unicorn, I think in some of the pictures. It definitely looks like She-Ra. So I think in my mind, maybe they were the same or different versions of each other. I don't know. And maybe that's why one kind of is memorable, one isn't, as they merged. Okay, so up next we had Sapphire. She had a blue and gold kind of color scheme. She was the power mistress of the sea and sky, and she could communicate with animals that were in the water or in the sky, like could fly. So I'm not sure if they can land on the ground, if she could communicate with them too, or if they had to have wings or fins. It didn't elaborate on that. Then we had Onyx, who had like a pink and white and gold outfit color. She was the challenger of the saber sword, and along with her sword, she had throwing stones that had very good accuracy, and she could throw them and they'd hit exactly what she wanted, and then they'd always come back to her. Kind of like a boomerang. So she had those powers to be able to help out the Golden Girl and protect the gemstone. Also, there was Jade, who was kind of like a green, bright green color. And I think she was gold or silver. Look at the picture here. She was the mystic of the secret jewels. And she had the ability to use her mythical mind insights to be able to tell what was going on. So she had a little bit of telepathy to help her out. So then the last girl that was on the heroine side helping support Golden Girl was Ruby, and this one is our nicely cleaned up and restored Ruby. This is not how she started off. Let me show you a couple pictures of what Ruby looked like when she came to us at first, and what details needed to be altered slightly to be able to fix her up. Then after I got her cleaned up, I cleaned her clothes. I started pairing up accessories, and this is who we have today. So Ruby had a nice cape. Every girl had a cape. They all had some kind of headdress. Hers actually stays in her hair fairly well. Some of them do not fit on their heads, but she does have kind of prongs that go back down. I found photos of her with her hair down, but in the box, like for the original, the way she came, it looks like it was actually pulled back. So I did just a kind of a light braid, and it looked like she had some waviness there, and then it was straighter at the bottom. So I try to replicate the original hairstyles as much as I can when I redo figures. Sometimes it's hard because you just don't know what they looked like unless you've been able to take them out of the box, because by the time you get photos of them anytime after they're out, they potentially have been altered. So this was my rendition of what it looked like she may have had. Ruby was the fiery champion of the lightning box, and she had the ability she was a really good archer and had the ability to use her lightning bow, which is one of her accessory toys. It actually just comes right off of her hand and then can clip back on over her forearm. And it says in the description that she had fire-tipped lightning bolt arrows. I haven't seen any pictures of actual arrows. So like in Superpowers, Green Arrow actually had arrows, and like Robin Hood from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves actually had arrows. I don't think she had real arrows with the actual toy. She would have had a shield, and we have not found the shield in with the things that we got. But overall, she's looking pretty good. It's a neat character. She's kind of got a Princess Leia type bikini going on. Her shoes aren't as exciting as some of them. I'll show you in some of the villains, especially Wild One has a good pair of shoes. It's pretty creative. But it's a lot of fun. So she came out very nice, I felt like. So on Golden Girls' side of the heroines, those were all the girls. But they also had one boy figure that was Prince Chroma. He was supposed to be a supporter of Golden Girl, and she's supposed to be a princess and he's a prince. I don't know if they were siblings. I didn't see that documented. But he's brave and daring and a hero who has a nemesis that supports Dragon Queen a lot of times. And so he steps in and helps out whenever Golden Girl needs him to. And that's really the only story that he had. So this is what he looked like. That's all I know about him. Hey folks, I've been editing this video and realized it's going to be longer than I expected. So there's still some content that I want to be able to include and not have this drag on for too long with one episode. And so I'm going to stop here. You'll have to follow us to be able to see when the next video pops back up. It should be in the next week, and see how it all ends. And with the villain side of the Golden Girl line is where the majority of our restorations took place. We had 5 of the 6 characters that came out for that side, so we have a lot more to share, and also Shadow the horse. So there's more to share. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching this one. Like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Leave us a comment if you have any questions about this toy line. Do you remember it? Because like I shared, I don't really remember it, and it still mystifies me. So let me know what you think. Have a great day.